This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, Dunedin's mayoral candidates face the city's business community in a mayoral forum. Dunedin could be hosting first-class cricket in October for the first time in recorded history. And Oamaru retailers are banding together for a major promotion next month, cunningly called Shoptober. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Daryl Baser. After a week of mudslinging and accusations of bullying, the candidates vying to be the next Mayor of Dunedin were on their best behaviour today as they tried to secure support of the city's business community. All 14 candidates attended the Dunedin Mayoral Forum organised by the Otago Chamber of Commerce and the Otago Daily Times this afternoon.
It was the turn of Dunedin's business community to hear from the people wanting to be the city's next mayor. Despite some candidates turning on each other earlier this week, all 14 candidates were well behaved during the mayoral forum organised by the Otago Chamber of Commerce and Otago Daily Times.
Look, I tell you, I mean, they were very well behaved. You know, every single one of them stuck to the rules, which is always a good sign, because it can get, you know, when you've got those time limits. I think they all answered the questions well. We had 3 different sections. One was just to introduce themselves and their role in business. Second ones were pre-prepared questions, and then the third section came from the crowd. And we had no idea what they were going to be, so it was great to see them be able to be put on the spot and try to get those answers come out from there.
McGowan says the forum was a success and those attending now had a better understanding of the people wanting their votes.
We've had a great forum. It's been a mayoral forum focused on business and trying to understand what the councillors and what they believe, or the potential councillors' views are around business, around a lot of questions around infrastructure, but also about what is the future of Dunedin, what does that look like, and how we're going to make sure that we become a sustainable city.
He says Dunedin businesses have a number of concerns about the direction of the city and look to the Mayor and City Council for some certainty.
The business community, of course, is going to be concerned about what the future productivity is, and that's going to be around a number of the plans around the rebuild to the hospital, around the main street, what's that going to look like for them, rising costs that they're already facing from central government, so how can it be eased around local government. So there's a number of issues, and of course housing and affordability of those. But also, when we look at it, it's what is the skilled labour force going to look like into the future, and how do we tap into that youth?
McGowan wouldn't divulge who he thought was the best candidate, but says it was good to hear a range of views.
I can't say that here on camera, as you can imagine, because we're a non-political organisation. What you heard today was a number of answers which had a variety to them, and there's more than one solution to all of these problems, so we need to make sure that we listen to all of those candidates and what they have to say.
Voting for this year's local body elections closes at noon October the 12th. In Dunedin, The South Today.
And you can watch the full 90-minute program on the Mayoral Forum on Channel 39, 4 p.m. this Saturday and Sunday. It'll also be online at odt.co.nz from next Monday. The refurbishment of Ross Creek Reservoir took another step toward completion yesterday, with gravel being delivered by helicopter. Dunedin City Council contractors used the chopper to lift gravel into place to rebuild the footbridge below the dam embankment. The council says a new footbridge was required following the demolition of the old one, which had deteriorated. The $8.5 million project is scheduled for completion next month, with artwork set to be installed on the dam face next year. The track from School Creek Ford to the reservoir is closed while the bridge is being constructed. There's just 1 month left to make sure the University of Otago Oval and cricket pitch is ready and in prime condition for the start of the first-class season. Turf manager Jaden Tohill says is embracing the challenge of preparing a pitch for Otago's season opener on October the 30th.
After checking under the covers of the University of Otago Oval cricket block, turf manager Jayden Tohill is confident his pitch will be ready in time for next month's Plunket Shield match against Auckland.
The team put in a pretty big shift over the winter trying to keep it as dry as possible and healthy, so it came through pretty well, and obviously winter was reasonably dry for us, so it makes a difference in terms of keeping a bit more grass on the block. So it had a renovation early September, and we're pretty happy with where it's at, yeah.
In the history of first-class cricket in Dunedin, no groundskeeper has ever had to prepare a pitch so early in the year. Tohill's been in a job for 2 years now, and he says he's acquired a lot of knowledge from last year's wet spring.
You know, even if it was to happen again, we've learned a lot from last season, so we're in a better place, and yeah, you're always learning. You know, every day you shut, you're making it a better place than the last, hopefully, so you're always looking to improve.
During the summer, the venue's looked after by a busy staff of 6 workers.
I guess from the outside it probably just looks like we're mowing and rolling a bit of mud, so.
Tohill says he's looking forward to seeing his beloved pitch host 2 international matches this summer.
It's awesome. Yeah, we've got the White Ferns down here for the first time, so looking forward to that. And then, yeah, about a month later, Black Caps roll into town, so it's a good way to kind of end the summer.
Otago start their Plunket Shield season with a 4-day match against Auckland on Wednesday, October 30th. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The 88-year history of firefighting from Dunedin's Central Fire Station may be coming to a close. Fire and Emergency New Zealand has confirmed it's undertaking a review of its tenure at the building, which has a Category 2 Heritage New Zealand listing as an historic place. Responding to questions from the Otago Daily Times, Fire and Emergency says due to planned changes around the area of the Dunedin Central Station, they're reviewing the site and its suitability for their long-term needs. The new Dunedin Hospital is to be built across the road from the fire station, and considerable changes are planned to the surrounding roads. Fire and Emergency says any move from the 1930s building won't be immediate. The ODT understands other changes could be on the way for the Castle Street, Hanover Street and St Andrew Streets block. As part of a movement to bring more vibrancy and vitality to Oamaru's CBD, local businesses have joined forces to launch a campaign to re-engage shoppers. Named Shoptober, the month-long event aims to get consumers shopping in Oamaru first before going online or taking a trip to nearby cities.
Oamaru's shopping area is set to benefit from Shoptober, with 46 local shops working together to welcome customers back into town.
This is to promote shopping local for the whole of October, trying to get not only locals but visitors to visit our stores and perhaps re-engage with some of the businesses that they may not have been in for a while.
Shoptober is set to be launched next Thursday with a family-orientated day of events.
We're going to have lots of activities, events and happenings around Oamaru town all day until 8 o'clock that night.
Berry says Oamaru shopkeepers are feeling the effects of a worldwide trend towards online trade and shoppers travelling to nearby cities for their purchases.
We're certainly not alone in this. We, all small towns are feeling the pinch with retail and online shopping and all the different challenges that retailers face now.
It's hoped Oamaru's shopkeepers will benefit from working together.
And it's been mentioned from a couple of retailers and a couple of shopkeepers that they felt quite isolated previous to this, and now that we're all working together, it's just really lovely, and hopefully we continue that enthusiasm forward into next year as well.
Shoptober launches next Thursday, with the 46 shops between Torridge and Wansbeck Streets holding in-store specials, activities, as well as late-night shopping. In Oamaru, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, with political turmoil on both sides of the Atlantic, we have another edition of Global Insight with Professor Robert Patman, analysing the current geopolitical climate. See you after the break.
It's time to say goodbye to your pet. Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489 2274.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
At Alex Campbell Menswear, we bring you the best value. We have bought a massive selection of moleskins and we're passing on the savings to you. Buy one pair, save $25. Buy two, save $60, and we have a great deal on our knitwear. Look at it all, 25% off all our knitwear. And to go with the knitwear, what about a nice warm shirt? These are 25% off too. And while we're doing the 25% off, what about on the jackets? 25% off them as well.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So check us out for massive savings this winter.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
Step into Shop on Carol and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
No mai no. Welcome back. University of Otago International Relations expert Professor Robert Patman says we shouldn't be distracted by the prospect of another Donald Trump-Kim Jong-un talk fest. In the latest edition of Global Insight, Professor Patman tells ODT journalist Bruce Munro the real worry is the deteriorating relationship between South Korea and Japan.
North Korea and South Korea are still technically at war. For more than 6 decades, there has been a dangerous stalemate on the Korean peninsula. Welcome, Robert.
Morning, Bruce.
By the time this goes to air, you'll be in Korea, taking part in what's called Track 2 informal diplomacy efforts. Can you tell us what is the state of play on the Korean peninsula?
Well, despite a lot of summitry recently between Mr. Trump and Kim Jong-un, there's not too much substantive movement forward. Although I noticed that Kim Jong-un has invited Mr. Trump for yet another negotiating session, this time in Pyongyang, and Mr. Trump didn't commit himself in response but said he thought it was highly likely the two of them, that's Kim Jong-un and himself, would meet before the end of the year. So actually it seems to me there's not too much to report in terms of substantive movement on denuclearization of North Korea. It's interesting that recently North Korea has unleashed some short missile tests, which I think is a bit of a nudge into American ribs, that they'd like some sort of offer to unlock what they see as the negotiating logjam.
As you said, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un are talking about talking again.
Yeah.
What is it that both of them is trying to get out of this, and will it lead to peace?
Well, it's always been a bit of a dilemma from the outset, because if there was an easy way of denuclearizing North Korea, it would surely have been done before. And Mr. Trump believes in the art of the deal, particularly personalized diplomacy. He believed that by meeting Kim Jong-un and beginning a dialogue, he could nudge the North Korean dictator towards giving up its best asset, which is his nuclear weapons. And certainly the atmosphere has improved between the two countries. For his part, Kim Jong-un wants the United States to relax international sanctions. America, there's both individual sanctions from the United States, but also UN-supported sanctions, and he would like sanctions relief, because clearly that has an impact on the North Korean economy and by implication on the legitimacy of his regime.
Do you think that Kim Jong-un would consider a China-style future for North Korea, loosening the grip, allowing consumerism but still keeping a tight control on other freedoms?
It's difficult to see that at the moment, Bruce. Kim Jong-un doesn't play by the rule book, and I think he likes to play powers off against each other. China has been almost as frustrated as the Americans and other outside players have by Kim Jong-un. This is the one, probably, one of the most repressive dictatorships in the world. It's built around a personality cult, and Kim Jong-un doesn't hesitate to kill members of his own family if they're perceived to cross him. So it doesn't play by the sort of conventions and rules that even some authoritarian regimes acknowledge. The other thing is, I can't help feeling that Kim Jong-un is trying to pull off the impossible. He's trying to maintain this very tight control, but provide the citizens of North Korea with all the material goodies that the rest of the world enjoys. And I'm not sure that can be achieved. But if there's a choice, I think he'll choose to keep his regime firmly in place. It's difficult to see how Kim Jong-un will go down the Chinese route. He would probably fear that if he began to emulate some of the Chinese reforms, particularly opening up to the global economy, it could have implications for his own power base. And he may, in a sense, perceive that his regime is becoming dangerously dependent on China.
Thank you for your insights, Robert.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Annyeonghi Gaseo.
And you can watch the full-length interview online at odt.co.nz. After the break, on the South Today, sand art stretching for more than a kilometre along a Dunedin beach highlights suicide awareness, and we see if this terrible weather is set to improve by the weekend. See you after the break.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Thanks for staying with us. Protesters formed a Barnes Dance flash mob in the intersection at the northern end of Dunedin's Octagon yesterday. The protest was to raise awareness of a planned school strike for climate change event in the city tomorrow. A Facebook post by protest organisers say the action had aimed to create low-level disruption to business as usual while advertising the upcoming climate strike. Police say they received 2 calls about the protest, but there'd been no significant disruption and no arrests were made. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Otago Chamber of Commerce's mayoral candidates debate put those vying for the city's top job under the microscope. Dunedin could be hosting first-class cricket in October for the first time in recorded history, thanks to the way the competition is scheduled. And Oamaru retailers are banding together for a major promotion next month, cunningly called Shoptober, and they're hopeful people will shop till they drop. Time now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times. Welcome, Mr. Hayden Meikle.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good evening.
It is evening, isn't it, Darryl?
It's evening.
It's one of those days.
It's one of those days,
I'm
mate.
afraid. Let's see what sort of night is ahead of us. Tomorrow's ODT, let's see a strong lead story, I think, a strong health story. More than 500 people, believe it or not, got sick of waiting and walked out of the Dunedin Hospital emergency department this year. And I believe those numbers are nearly double of last winter. So I look forward to that story with interest. Mike Houlihan, I think our health reporter, is writing that. I guess it speaks to what's going on in the emergency departments of our hospitals these days. More and more people waiting to be seen, so that should be interesting. Also this very concerning, sad story about the 9-year-old girl missing on the west coast after being swept away while whitebaiting at the Hokitika River mouth, so we'll have the latest on that. On a lighter note, Trump Street, believe it or not, this is a fascinating story. Developers wanting to name a street in Wanaka or Hawea, Trump Street. Not for the reason you might be thinking. There is a Dutch gold miner, apparently, who was in the area, a sort of pioneer in the 1860s or 1870s. Not sure what his first name was, but his last name was Trump. And they want to name it after him, but the community board, I believe, up there has nixed it, has said no. It has an association with a certain US president that many of us are not overly fond of. And so they can use Trump, but it has to have the full name with it. So there you go, fascinating yarn involving Mr. Trump. And a lovely yarn with former Otago rugby captain Sam Anderson-Heather. He was a very fine hooker, played for Otago. He and his family talking about their new baby's brush with meningitis, the difficulties they went through, the tough times, and now the positive times ahead. So lovely photo, lovely yarn, which should be on page 1 tomorrow. So all sorts of good stuff throughout the rest of the paper too. So should be a good one.
Nice. Trust you'll have a good night putting it together.
Let's see. Fingers crossed.
Thanks, mate. Time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, reflections of the Dunedin Central Fire Station. Looking at the situation, a strong west to southwest airflow remains over southern districts through the weekend with cold fronts and coastal showers, so head for the hills as it's due to be mostly fine inland. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect showers, grey skies and 13 degrees. Across to the northeast, where Nelson and Blenheim are due for a few clouds and 17 degrees. Moving down to Canterbury, Kaikoura you're due for a few clouds and 13. Christchurch and Ashburton you can both expect a cloud or two and 15 degrees. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, you can all expect strong westerlies and some cloud. The Catlins and Gore head for 13, while Balclutha and Lumsden should reach 14. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes, expect moderate westerlies and fine weather for most across this area. Queenstown and Wanaka head for 14, and Alexandra, you're the warmest in the region, aiming for 16. Te Anau, sorry to say, you're set for showers and 13 degrees. Up to the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru can look forward to northerlies and fine weather. Timaru 15 and Oamaru 14 degrees. Further inland, Twizel and Omarama are in for fresh westerlies and fine weather with 15 degrees for you both. And in Dunedin, showers clearing tonight and an overnight low of 4 degrees, mostly fine tomorrow with some cloudy spells, planned for a high of 13 and a low of 5. Sunny periods for most of Saturday, but some cloud and showers developing by evening with a high of 17 and a low of 8. And in Invercargill, showers clearing tonight with an overnight low of 4, sunny periods and some cloud tomorrow, aiming for a high of 13 and a low of 8. Cloudy with showers on Saturday, with stronger gusty southwesterlies increasing, a high of 12 and an overnight low of 7. And that's all from the South Today team for this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.